Welcome to the Voices in Vet podcast. I am your host, Taylor Leeson, and today we're joined by Alexander Watt, Sales Director of AERO Healthcare. For over 16 years, Alexander has helped build AERO into a global force in first aid and healthcare, delivering innovative products, trusted quality, and life-saving solutions to the medical industry worldwide. Alexander, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Taylor. Great to be here.
To start, can you give us a quick overview of AERO Healthcare and the role you play in the industry?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, and thanks to all the listeners of the podcast. It's great to be on here. So, as you mentioned, I've been at AERO for 16 years since we started back in 2000 that the business kicked off. Many in the industry would know the CEO, Tim Ovenden, who started the business in 2000. I joined the team in 2010, and it's been an exciting ride from a small regional base in Armidale, New South Wales, a regional town, to what it's become today, which is, as you mentioned, what we're striving to be as a global force in first aid, employing over 100 people, not only here in Australia, but in the United Kingdom and United States as well.
Amazing. So from your perspective, how much does the first aid equipment actually impact the quality of a course?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I think we've recently discussed this with the team at NIFAD as well, is that students in training, you're training students for what they might face in the real world. And I think the more realism you can bring into a course, the better chance you stand of giving that trainee that could then become a rescuer, the chance of a successful outcome. And I think with the coverage that AERO has in the first aid industry from a supplier's perspective, if you would open up a kit in Australia, there's a high chance that it's got AERO products in. So by using the AERO products in the training environment, it's getting people familiar not only with the brand but also around our packaging and how our products are made, designed for use by the lay rescuer.
I think that really leads into our next question, which is when it comes to training, how important is it that equipment reflects real life situations?
Oh, I think it's very important. I mean, as many on the podcast would be aware, there is, over the last number of years, the industry's become more competitive, and probably a byproduct of that is trainers trying to cut costs. And one of the ways of doing that, there's not a way you can cut the cost of your time, is by the products. Mm-hmm. And that has seen an influx of cheaper training products, less realistic. You've seen products that have gone to non-ARTG listed products. Not that ARTG listed products are required in training, but there's been a bigger discrepancy between what people are using in training and what people will be forced to use in the event of them coming across an accident or a situation where someone needs the products that are used in first aid. And that's really what I think Allen's, and there are others in the industry, are doing a good job of, is really encouraging people to bring realism into the room.
Yep.
Yes, there's a lot of technology that can help in training these days, but there's no substitute for the hands-on practice and making people feel comfortable in what can be a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, definitely. Having something real also in the training environment, then when time comes, if they ever have to use it, they'll remember, and it will be hopefully automatic practice that they'll remember what they did in training and then in the real life.
Yeah, I think, and it's mentioned a lot in CPR training. A lot of it is about muscle memory, and that's why people are encouraged to do CPR training yearly or as frequently as possible. And I think that actually goes wider than that to the products as well.
Yeah.
People are familiarising themselves with the CPR mask or the bandage they use in sprains or snake bite.
Yep.
And when they open a kit, they're out there in the real world in the heat of the moment. If that's the same product as they've used in training, that's just further reducing the stress on the rescuer.
Yeah, it's muscle memory that kicks in then.
100%.
What do you think separates the high quality training equipment from just what's good enough?
I think it ties back into that realism, but it's also the experience that you give the trainees in the training room. I mean, we've heard of people doing CPR training on things like pillows, etc., which you might say, like CPR, any attempt is better than no attempt.
Yeah.
However, products like the Braden mannequin, and there are others out there as well, other brands out there as well, that help bring a greater sense of realism. And it means that the person actually feels more engaged in the first aid course as well. It just helps to make it something memorable for them, rather than just what we so often see in the wider first aid training industry is a box ticking exercise. I have to get my first aid certificate. I'll go along, I'll pick the cheapest course, and then likely getting the most inferior training products as well, whereas you can create a memorable event, something that they enjoy. Yes, there is a serious element to first aid training, but we can make it memorable, and it'll also help to drive return business as well. If people remember they had an excellent experience and used informative and interactive tools, that's going to be where they want to come back to for their training.
Having more realistic training equipment really takes the training to the next level, and like you mentioned, it makes it memorable and they'll come back again because they'll remember that realistic training that they got.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we hear so often, we've already mentioned how competitive it is in the industry, and I think it's one of the ways we can, you might say, steer it away from a price conversation. Yes, there has to be value for money, but if you can separate yourself from the mass by using high quality, realistic and interactive training materials, I think it helps to set yourself apart and remove price from that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. What are some of the common equipment mistakes you see trainers make when it comes to equipment?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's my place here to critique trainers being from the products industry, but I think in the training that I do every year, I try and switch it up, use different trainers just to get to feel and to stay in touch with that side of the industry. But I think there's sometimes can be people using probably through cost cutting, and then maybe they don't have the option or the budget to purchase some of these materials. But people using a crate bandage when training students in the treatment of snake bite, or using products that you say may at a stretch fit the bill, but they're not if you were to define the correct product, it's a bit of a stretch. I think that's probably what we see sometimes, but once again, who am I to critique the first aid training industry, because there's probably lots of stuff you could say about the suppliers as well.
Yeah. What has AERO focused on doing differently when it comes to supporting the trainers?
And at AERO, I mean, one of our mantras is we can always do better. Our tagline is healthcare, we make it better, but I think that speaks to its continual. One of the things, as we've grown as a company, is we don't want to rest on our laurels, and that obviously is a constant exercise within AERO to continually be better. But by listening to trainers, finding out what they want, there are various products I can point to in the last few years. One of them is placebo inhalers, the new masks that have come in recently, where we've worked to bring products to market. And I think that's one of the things we'd encourage trainers, those listening on the podcast. Many of you are already forthcoming with suggestions, but we're a feedback-led organisation. Yes, we innovate as well, but if you've got a concept or something that you would like to see in the training room or a training product, bring it to us. And I think over the years we've done a good job of bringing some of those ideas to fruition.
Yeah, I think it's super important that they can give the feedback and that someone's going to listen, because they are on the ground and they know what they need in the classroom and what they might be lacking to take that experience to the next level. Trainers
are in the face of trainees all day, every day. So you guys are the guys and gals are the rubber on the road, for want of a better term. But I think that's where you might say the feedback comes from and the needs arisen, and that's where a lot of our products come out of, is that feedback that we get from trainers day to day, and then from the events that we attend in this market, such as the Allen's professional development days, and NIFAT is another one, Australian Resuscitation Council. There are many avenues that we pick up feedback, but certainly we welcome feedback at any time or suggestions of new products. You Allen's and the trainers that fall under the RTO umbrella, you're the ones out there doing the work, and we certainly appreciate the feedback and suggestions we do get.
Yeah. So speaking of the feedback from the trainers, what feedback are you hearing from them and what they actually need right now?
As we've touched on already, as products that meet the moment, I think bits of feedback we get quite often is around quality. Whilst people want competitive products, they also want products that are going to work. There's nothing worse than a trainer undoing a bandage in the room and it's not a full length, or it's an AED trainer that the cable disconnects from the pads. They want training courses are time bound, and you're in front of people that have paid you to be there. You want the product to work, but it's also got to work from a financial perspective as well. As we know, training courses now, particularly in cities, are very competitive, and with the increase of courses online, people are able to search within minutes and find the cheapest course. It's got to be something that delivers, yet is cost effective.
AERO is a big supporter of public access to DFIBs. Are there any grants or program community groups or sporting clubs should be aware of when looking at getting an AED?
Come down to state and territories. We're aware of the New South Wales grant that's been going for several years now through the state government for DFIBs into sporting clubs and schools, etc. Obviously, with the recent legislation in South Australia mandating AEDs in certain environments, that has also increased the coverage. But certainly it's worth investigating in your area. Find out, often there are local charities or even business groups that are looking for things to do, and then there are grants administered by the government through taxes taken from gambling, etc., that are used in getting DFIBs out there into the wider market. So would certainly encourage, as a first aid trainer, you hold a unique, particularly in the regions as well, hold a unique space where you're a trusted voice when it comes to AEDs. People welcome these sort of programs and are receptive to ideas, even working together. If you've got a number of businesses in an area that can make a street heart safe, there are various programs around the country along those lines as well. But it's around working together with your community, and it is good for your business as well, good for your training business. If you can be seen to be a local advocate or a local voice for these programs and getting AEDs into the hands of the general public, it also increases the trust in your business and helps to validate your mission.
Yeah, so would you recommend any trainers to going and having a look at what's available in their state or region or territory and having a look at the grants?
Yeah, 100%. Check out what's local, what's been done local, and then obviously there is as wider state-based ones as well. Even some city councils run programs funding the spread of DFIBs into the community. So, yeah, just encourage everyone to get on and check out what's local and do what they can. This is not just a sales conversation. DFIBs make huge impacts in local communities and increasing people's chance of survival.
Yeah, we know that's the most important part about it, is having a DFIB close by just ups the chance for someone.
Yeah, 100%.
What should everyone make sure is included in a first aid kit for their home?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think sometimes people view the workplace and home as separate environments. Yes, the risk levels are different. If you've got a heavy workshop, you might not have those risks at home. People may not have looked in their garage recently to see that there are various tools of destruction in there as well. But with legislation around the minimum requirements of first aid in a workplace means that there's a real focus on workplace. And I think sometimes that overshadows what people should have in their home. Homes are full of risks, especially for children. You've got the risks of stoves, burns from stoves. You've got the risk of electrical and just the general hazards that we find around a home, stairs. We have cars going up and down driveways. There are very real risks. Yep. And I think sometimes people think I can get away with just a small handbag size personal first aid kit at a home, and I think sometimes that overlooks some of the risks that are there. And so I'd encourage people to look out there. Obviously at AERO, we have our kit range, which we think is the best. We'll leave others to judge. But I think products like the modulator as well, and any modular first aid kit for that reason, help to really demystify a first aid kit. The traditional kits of the day where you opened it up as a lay rescuer, obviously trained people know what they're looking for, but some of these people are opening a kit in what is the worst moment of their life, and a modular system really helps to take that guesswork away, shortens the decision process, and ultimately helps get the patient what they need in a faster, more efficient manner. So I think in conversations with students, it's important that, yes, workplaces are unique. You've got employees coming on, you have a duty of care to care for them. But what about the home?
Yeah.
You've got your nearest and dearest
Yep.
right there. Why wouldn't you invest what is not a large amount of money, a kit that you would have in a workplace?
Yeah, I think that's actually really important and such a good point. Can you explain a little bit more about the modular kits that you mentioned, just in case if people don't know what you're actually talking about?
So at AERO, we've obviously been involved in the manufacture of not only kits but the products that go inside. And there is a traditional first aid kit that everybody's familiar with, be it a soft pack, a wall mount, or unique to Australia, the tackle box, where the products are placed inside. What the modular does is break the kit into 4 sections for a home kit, or up to 6 sections for a workplace kit. And so you'll have modules that are for burns, minor wounds, cuts and grazes, eye, and that does vary between kits. It's just around finding ways to make the kit as simple and easy to use as possible and taking the guesswork out of the lay rescuer. I think some of us that live and breathe first aid every day forget that first aid is for the masses.
Yep.
And it's for the general public to be able to render assistance. And so anything we can do to take it from what people sometimes think is something daunting and trying to lower the temperature a bit and say, you have a powerful tool in your hands, like a defib. A first aid kit is a powerful tool in the hands. Obviously, we want everyone to get training. That's not always going to be the case. And I think modular systems just help to take the guesswork out of it, are an easier kit to manage as well, make sure everything's in date.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot easier that you can open it up and see exactly what you need if it's for a burn and pull that out instead of having to dig around and try and find what you would need for a burn. It takes a few seconds out of something that's going to be a lot easier. They can just grab the one thing that they need.
Yeah, and I think even an interesting exercise is to do in your training courses is to open a traditional style first aid kit and ask someone to find the gauze swab or the wound dressing and look at the period of confusion they go through while they look at these items that a lot of them look the same to the untrained eye. And that's one of the things we try to do at AERO is to base our packaging around the lay rescuer. So someone that might be opening the kit for the first time, have colour differentiation, and then clearly state on the packaging what that product is for. Is it for cuts and grazes or burns or minor grazes, insect bites, etc.?
Yeah, sounds like a great product.
That's what we try and do.
Before we wrap up, if trainers remember one thing from this conversation, what should it be about using the right equipment for safe and realistic and compliant training?
I think probably the main thing is to realise that as a trainer, you're in a powerful position. These people, yes, as we've talked about, there are a certain amount of people that come along to a first aid course to tick a box. What if we turn that around and say, yes, they came here to tick a box, but you as the trainer are in a powerful position where you can put them through your training and engaging with them in the way you train and then the products you use, so that when faced with a crisis, that person has the decision-making ability that they learnt in your classroom to change the outcome of ultimately someone's life. Yes, not all injuries that we deal with in first aid, the vast majority aren't life-threatening, but there are. We know the tens of thousands that suffer from cardiac arrest every year, not in such high numbers, but the increasing, sadly, violence that we see on our streets, stabbings, as you know, here in Australia this year, terrorism incidences, where these people that are faced are the general public. They are not all paramedics, nurses, doctors, and through your training you can have a very real impact on the outcome of the people in those scenarios.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message for everyone to remember. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Oh, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity, for being on here, Taylor, and to the wider Allens team. The job you do is a great one, and the people that have been trained under your RTO, now hundreds of thousands, if not millions within Australia. And it's been a great partnership that AERO's enjoyed with Allens over the years. I remember myself driving into Goulburn, generally cold and dreary, early in the morning and meeting Jim, Helen and the rest of the team out there next to the golf course to now where you are today is something you should be proud of. And I think there's a lot of synergies between Allens and AERO, the journey we've been on. Both started in small, regional, somewhat unknown towns in Australia to what they are today is significant organisations, and we're proud of what we've done. Allens should be very proud of what they've done, and we're proud of what we've accomplished together. And to the trainers out there all day, every day, I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes, but it's an admirable task you take on. And I think one of the things we'd encourage you to do by listening to the podcasts like this, you're investing your time. And there are other events. We've mentioned the Allens Professional Days, Knife At, etc. There are ways you can help yourself bring more value to your students. And that can be time and it can be money. And I guess it lends to the products as well. You can invest in products as well to bring value to your students in realism. And I just encourage each one of you, that training can seem like it's a day in, day out. As with any job, dealing with people can be challenging, but through investing your time into these sort of podcasts and events, it helps you and it helps your students. And it helps the person lying there on the pavement or suffering from a cardiac arrest, because that's what we're all here for, is to reduce preventable deaths.
Alexander, thank you so much for your kind words. I know everyone on the Allens team really values the partnership we have with AERO. We also can't wait to catch up with you at NIFAC.
Yep, really looking forward to it, seeing you in Adelaide later this year and the next Allens conference. It's an awesome opportunity for us to get out there and see everyone, hear the changes that are happening within the industry, and bring what we're trying to do our bit to make it better.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We will leave links in the description so people can go and have a look at some of the AERO products and the modular that we did mention. But thank you again for joining us.
Much appreciated.
Today's conversation highlighted just how important equipment is in delivering safe, engaging, and realistic training for students. Understanding 1.8 of the 2025 standards, there is a strong focus on making sure facilities, resources, and equipment are suitable, current, and reflective of the real industry practice. It's clear that this is an area trainers and RTOs need to continue prioritising. At Allens Training, this is something that has had a major focus through the training desk system, including equipment registers, trainer evidence requirements, and internal checks before courses are delivered, helping support both compliance and quality student outcomes. A big takeaway from today is that equipment is more than just what's sitting in the training room. The right setup can directly impact students' confidence, engagement, and how prepared someone feels to respond in a real-life emergency situation. Thank you for listening to Voices in Vet, and we'll see you on the next episode.